120 Ks to come, 50 laps.
And a strong northwesterly breeze picking up. It'll be a headwind into turn 7 and a big tailwind down into the hairpin.
Here's the Fuso start grid for race 3 of round 13. And it's Whincup versus Stephen Richards on the front row of the grid. We've talked about it quite often throughout the course of this weekend, and it was a case of what if for FPR because they've just been so strong. Mark Scaife doing a terrific job. Scaife qualified from 8th, went up to 7th in race 1, 4th in race 2. What about James Courtney? 20 positions he made up. That'll be interesting in this one, Cromley, to see who's going to play the late game in the compulsory pit stop, because it's certainly worked for Dean Canto and James Courtney.
The vast majority of those who actually decided to stay out and run a little longer got great gains from that, as you quite rightly point out. When you look at Courtney in 8th, when you look at Canto, there's a whole bunch of guys. Lee Holdsworth ran a little longer as well and finished very strongly. Looking further down the order, it's been a great recovery also from Shane van Gisbergen. Remember, they had a shocker early in the weekend. He's been coming back through the field. Another thing we need to update here is the stewards and the IPO investigating and prosecuting officer had a look into a couple of things. One, including this car, 22, Todd Kelly, an alleged unsafe release from pit bay. They determined no breach of rules there, and also there was a further investigation into the Steve Owen and Cam McConville issue, and no further action taken on that one. As we run through the field, Steve Owen and Shane Price involved in a bit of the action through the weekend. Owen Kelly and Andrew Jones, ditto on those remarks, so they'll probably relight those fuses on both those rows. Russell Ingall down the order after having to stop from that contact and the damage to the front tyre. Further afield, Cam McConville. But I think that car is done for the day.
There certainly is. Cam McConville will not start. So also just recapping the overall round situation here. Remember, there's a round victory up for grabs too. You don't want to lose sight of that. Jamie Whincup on 44 points for the weekend. Stephen Richards 35 and Mark Winterbottom 34. Scaife 4th with 26 points. Whincup has already, of course, won 2 rounds of the Enduros. He won it with Craig Lowndes at Sandown and at Bathurst, and also a previous round winner earlier in the year. So he's looking for his 4th round victory of the year, while Stephen Richards will be going for his first.
You see that dark band notable on the road down at turn 2. There's another one that looks very like that at turn 7. A couple of people have been asking us what's all that about. It's not the track breaking up. It looks as though it might be, but there's a resin used to patch some of the little cracks in the racetrack here and there. And what it's doing is it's gluing the rubber off the tyres to the resin. It's actually grabbing the pickup and the loose pieces of rubber that normally flick to the outside of the corner, and it's hanging onto them. Some of the drivers actually saying if you can find it in just the right spot, it's quite grippy. It's giving them a bit of extra performance, but it does look a bit odd.
Looks a bit nasty. I wonder what type of emotions are going through John Bowe as we go on board with Jason Bargwanna. Bowie about to make his final appearance in a V8 supercar at this circuit that has so much history for him. His 224th championship start, the all-time leader, of course, and he will bow out literally at the end of Phillip Island.
Boys, off the start, keep a close eye on rows 1 and 2 of the grid. Jamie Whincup in position number 1, Mark Winterbottom in position number 3. Now, Frosty recognises that he has about 3 laps of good brakes in order to get past Jamie Whincup. Now, remember, Jamie is racing for the championship. Mark Winterbottom is racing for honours today. Bit of work been done on the toll cars since race 2. They have both got new clutches.
Checked out the reason too for Craig Lowndes is off in the hairpin during race 2. It was actually a little rubber boot or a little rubber bellow in the master cylinder that came loose, and he couldn't get brake pedal return with the fluid. They've got that sorted for race 3. And just a quick one, JB, we wish you all the best in your last start here at Tassie. Right, we just hope the local Launceston legend, Wizard Smith, is with you.
Yeah, all good, Dado.
Just further to the stewards update following an investigation and a discussion with Greg Murphy. They established some careless driving there in contact with Shane Price, and so Murphy has the equivalent of a pit lane drive-through penalty added to his race 2 time, and so he starts from position 22 just to clean that matter up as well.
Conditions nice and clear as John Bowe makes his way to the 19th spot on the grid. No sign of rain at all, it looks like, over that way. No sign of the great floods of 1929 that Gibbo was referring to, and Wizard Smith saved the local brewery.
You blokes have got too much spare time.
We just know what's important, believe me. So they settle in at the back. There's Alan Gurr.
One of the curiosities of this racetrack is that when you start down the order, you start in the middle of a corner. So not only do you need to sight the starter, but you need to drop the clutch and not slide off the road.
Jamie Winkup's had good starts at all times this weekend. This time he's got to fight off Stephen Richards. They get really close at the start, and Whincup shoots it through. Everybody holds their breath right here because it's crunch.
They did a great job in race number 2 of negotiating those first 3 corners cleanly. Looks like they've done it again for race 3.
Down to turn 5, the hairpin. Oh, Lowndes and Scaife. The 2 Jim Beam cars, the 2 Valvoline Cummins cars.
Tander may have made a move here and grabbed a spot, we'll see. He's got Rick on the inside, GT side by side with his teammate as they run down to turn 7.
Well, they gave themselves just a little bit of room there.
And Rick was the one that had to give a bit of space there ultimately. Would have frustrated him, but he had to get the car up on 2 wheels, climb the curb to just ensure there was no contact.
In the 57 seconds it took to do that lap, Garth Tander made 3 spots up. He went from 10th to 7th. Whincup first, Stephen Richards second, Winterbottom, Scaife, Lowndes, Courtney.
Yeah, he made up a pile of ground down the outside. He just decided to stay up high, and while they're all protecting on the inside, he got a bunch of spots as a result. So quite smart situational awareness there from Tander. Someone's off the road on the exit of 5, and I think Todd Kelly could have been involved in this one as well. Max Wilson, there's a Team BOC car there. There was a bunch of aggravation, the radios erupted, and Winterbottom's done the fastest lap of the race of 53.3. Andrew Jones crawling back, damage to the right side of the Team BOC forward.
Watch for some debris coming out of the hairpin, mate.
Top 3 cars have jumped away, the debris flag being displayed, commonly referred to as the oil flag. That's the yellow and red flag being displayed at that marshalling point. And damage here on Todd Kelly's car, which confirms that earlier remark of mine that he was involved somewhere in that little drama.
Nice straight interview, the steering's all bent, tyres running really bad.
There you go. So he's got damage on the guard. He got squeezed up on the fence. Nowhere really for Kelly to go there. So I don't think he'll have a case to answer on that one, but damage on that car. Lots of debris, grass, gravel on Andrew Jones' car. Whincup leads 0.6 of a second over Stephen Richards. Winterbottom hunting. They're all searching for that slightly higher line up there at the moment. Whether it's by fault or intention, I don't know, but it's not hurting anybody for lap time. Lowndes has done the fastest sector split in 18.2 on this lap. He's 5th.
He was right on the back of Scaife going down to turn 5. This is turn 7.
Courtney's in there as well. He's 6th from virtually the rear of the field on day 1. So they've had some pace in that car. It took a while to find it in the early part of the weekend. And he's recovered also from a drive-through.
Stephen Richards, Jamie Whincup, and then Garth Tander traded fastest times over that lap. In the end, it was Tander a 53.13. He remains in 7th spot. The lead at the front is half a second between Whincup and Richards. Position 20 is Paul Morris. He leads this group with Todd Kelly, Jason Bargwanna, Steve Owen and Shane Price, and Russell Ingall. So there's quite a conga line there.
They're going to bring Todd Kelly in as soon as the compulsory pit stop window opens, and a bit of a squeeze again on the exit of 5 involving Steve Owen and Jason Bargwanna.
Yeah, it's what they're doing, Neil. They're going to bring him in, Todd Kelly, and change the right-hand side tyres of the car. Just change their strategy a little.
He's got huge pace here at the moment. He's attacking the back of Craig Lowndes. I would have thought that he might have been battling for rubber by this stage of the weekend.
But Garth's got another spot off him.
Yes.
So Tander goes up to 6th now, and that puts him behind Lowndes. So that means that Tander is now in 5th. Here's the race leader coming in.
At the moment, you're the only car in pit lane, so traffic is reasonably light.
Kevin May, voice on the radio.
Clear away, watch your pit speed. Cold rears, Jamie, cold rears, watch your exit. There's also a little bit of dirt on the apex of the hairpin, mate. Head down.
Nice clean job in the pit lane for these fellas. And this is Todd Kelly. They're trying to rectify the damage. They put jacks to 4 there so that they could jack the entire car up, peeling the front bumper assembly away at the edges.
Rescue mission now. There's our race leaders, Stephen Richards and Mark Winterbottom behind him. There's the instructions.
Yeah, they don't want him to get tangled up with the traffic because a 10th or 2 lost on any of these next couple of laps could have a critical impact.
WPS car of Jason Bargwanna and also the Team Kiwi car of Shane Van Gisbergen, who's done a pretty solid job this weekend. Oh, there's a crunch with Shane Price. It's not a spot you want to be, facing the wrong way. The super cheap auto car of Paul Dumbrell clips Greg Murphy, who does a similar pirouette.
That's twice Murphy's been tagged in 2 races in the same spot.
Okay, away you go.
Fastest sector split in the first sector for Garth Tander at 18.01.
So Team Vodafone's played the early card, got both of them out of the way for Whincup and Lowndes, and both stops look very slick.
Race leaders in. Garth Tander's the new leader of the race. Now both FPR cars are in here, so Mark Winterbottom's going to have to wait. Not sure how that would have happened. That's a story.
Okay, mate, CPS light off. Sorry about that.
Only 1 boom per 2-car team. And so Mark Winterbottom having to sit and wait, precious seconds rolling by there. And that's taken him out of the sharp end. So a little bit of communication drama, I think, across the garage one way or another.
And it's a very short reaction time too. When you come down at the exit of turn 8, you need to pull into pit lane. You've either got to go or you get caught there.
Car number 20, Paul Dumbrell, black flag pit lane drive-through penalty for that incident at turn 5.
Neil, lots of hand clapping at FPR because of the end result, but a lot of shaking heads conversely because both engineers called both their cars in at the same time. You're on the money, communication breakdown.
Mate, let me know when that traffic holds you up or if the tyres are gone.
Voice of Matt Nilsson. Confirmation from Tander. Yeah, look, they've both. It's not something that that, you know, they plan to do, obviously, but they're both so engrossed, that is, both crews in the team in their own motor race, that sometimes just little things like that can happen. And they'll no doubt discuss that in the debrief next week. Not the end of the universe for Winterbottom, but certainly not helpful.
So how long does Garth Tander play? The instructions were, let us know when you get caught up in traffic or those tyres are going off.
Nice gentle arrival for Rick Kelly. A slick departure.
Watch exiting traffic, mate.
You'll get a little gap here too to slot back in. Little.
Just in front of Mark Scape.
Neil, you talked about James Courtney with some good car pace and you didn't know what his tyres were. Well, remember, they didn't qualify all that well, so they've actually got a pair of greens to bolt on. He's in the lane right now.
Scape goes high into turn 5, rounded up Rick Kelly and got that position back.
And now he's a little bit vulnerable to Winterbottom just as those rear tyres temp and pressure up as well. Turn 7, been a bit of action down here this weekend. Tander still leads the motor race by 6.2 seconds. And Rick Kelly trying to squeeze performance when those tyre temperatures and pressures are not quite up. Courtney, job done. Comes back out just in front of Mark Scaife. So that continues to be great marching pace from the Geraldweb guys. And if they are green or near new tyres for that car, then they're going to have a very quick car for the next few laps. What that'll give James is a great drive advantage off the corners. Lots of traction. Very important at this racetrack.
Garth Tander's still out there leading the race. His last lap was a 52.8. The fastest lap of the race he set was a 52.4, so he's still posting good times. There's John Bower, the Paul Cruikshank entry.
First of those drivers that's completed his stop is Jamie Whincup, position 10, from Stephen Richards, Craig Lowndes, Jason Richards, James Courtney. Critical fella to stop yet. Garth Tander leads the race 6.7 seconds. Oop. Bump and grind stuff here. Lowndes on Todd Kelly with Jason Richards in there as well. Remember, this is not for position because Lowndes is battling a different group of cars around him, so he'll get pretty frustrated pretty quick. In fact, they've just instructed blue flags for car 22 for Todd Kelly. And so that means he's got to observe those and allow the quicker car through.
Position. Are a lap down on them, mate. They are coming through.
So he sidesteps them at the hairpin.
Okay.
Teams are checking Tander's times at the moment. Garth Tander's times are saying there's no improvement. It's now time to bring him in.
Look at this, look at this. Richards is up on the curb and Lowndes is out to the right-hand side. They did make contact. You could see that coming. Jason had a look, stopped and thought about it, then had another look and got down the inside. Lowndes runs wide, and he's caught up in a huge group of cars here.
With 35 laps to go. What happened there?
Correct about your analogy. Gave me a hit from the left three-quarter.
Campbell warned Craig, just be careful because the car behind is for position.
The worst thing in the scenario for Lowndes was that he just released himself from Todd Kelly and was at the front of this little battle pack. Now he's at the rear of it again.
Tander. And that means he has to eat the brakes and eat the tyres to be able to recover that lost space. Now, where does Tander jump back into the queue? In front of Owen Kelly, Jason Richards, Todd Kelly. So still to come, Jason Bright, Paul Morris, Max Wilson, Greg Murphy. Those 4 cars haven't stopped.
It will put Garth Tander on corrected into 3rd position. The corrected race leader is Jamie Whincup. Stephen Richards 2nd. And Garth Tander will be 3rd of those who've pitted.
That's a good recovery, isn't it, from 10th? And with plenty of space around him as well. Next one after that will be Jason Richards, I believe.
So plenty of different strategies being played out here, and the leading group has all done theirs. Jason Bright is our on-the-road race leader. Paul Morris 2nd, Max Wilson is 3rd, and Greg Murphy 4th.
And Craig Lowndes is asking that they look into this incident that saw him get pushed off the road at the moment. So, and all that time on the dirty stuff means it would have taken a 1/3 of a lap or more for the tyres to recover. So Jason had a look, and then a sort of a second look, because it seems as though Craig just momentarily stayed up a bit high for him as well, which was probably the extra incentive. I'm sure you'll need to get a bit more data on that one to form a strong view. But either way, Craig ended up off the road, tagged in the left rear quarter panel.
Check out Rick Kelly on the back of Mark Scaife. Down that back straight, he was flying. He started from position 10. He's made his way up to 7th, but on corrected, that will be 3rd. Get all your sports news, including V8s, of course, bigpondsport.com. We have live and on-demand videos, and of course you can check out the championship picture as we head to Phillip Island in a couple of weeks' time.
Remember, those that ran long in race number 2 did get some benefit. Garth Tander just popping in the 2nd sector time there. That was very impressive, the fastest so far. So Bright and Morris 7 seconds behind Jason at the moment. Jason calling for tyres down the right side rather than across the rear. So he's opting for a slightly different tyre strategy in the stop. Those that did run this longer strategy in race number 2 ended up quite high in the field at the end of it all. We'll see whether it works out this time.
Tander is making ground on Stephen Richards.
And there's a bit of traffic here because of some of the nonsense that's unfolded in the race. The field's scattered a bit. It's another thing.
Nice work, Jamie. Everything looks good on the data, mate. Just make sure you're happy with your brake bias and your anti-roll bars.
Now this is for position. Jamie Whincup 5th, chasing Murphy Wilson, but remember that these fellas have yet to take their compulsory stop. So it won't be an automatic march past. And it's one of the things that's caused a little bit of discussion through the season. You know, there's some in the paddock that feel the blue flag should be shown and they should be cleared out of the way, and there's others, of course, who feel exactly the opposite.
Well, there's a bit of chatter down here at the Toll HSV dealer team at the moment. They're asking the stewards to have a look at Rick Kelly and Mark Scaife. They're saying that Scaife is blocking Rick.
Just in this fight that we're looking at here, someone's
Smoke.
got big smoke coming out down the front straight. It's Rick Kelly. Rick Kelly on the right-hand side of the front straight in the dirt.
Has it had some sort of a failure?
He's parking it.
That'll, in fact, in that spot, though, it'll probably trigger a safety car.
What was the problem, mate?
Oh, just the engine.
Roger.
Slight one.
Car boards and flags, safety car boards and flags, safety car standby.
Eric Pender in the background there, engineer for Rick Kelly, asking before what the problem was, and it was almost a a humorous remark back from Rick, but I can tell you that beneath the response, there'll be a lot of frustration and anger. That's probably game over for his championship this year, and there it is, the engine letting go in a plume of smoke. So Rick Kelly out of the car. It's parked up in the gravel trap at turn 5. The reigning champion drops a bunch of points when he can least afford it. Now tyres for Jason Bright. What are they doing? I think it's rears only. They did discuss doing them down the right side, but they decided to go with the standard way.
Interesting scenario we've just faced. Craig Lowndes, Matty White here. Lounsey, can you hear me? Matty White. That was a negative. So when we get restarted, Whincup will lead us. Everything's corrected now. Everybody's in order. Richards second, Tander there third. Jason Richards will be fourth. James Courtney fifth. Scaife and Lowndes sixth and seventh.
The way they are in the race order at the moment is also, if they stay this way, the way they are for the round. Whincup has 68 points. Richards, Stephen that is, has 55. And Garth Tander has 49. Wouldn't bet the house on it staying that way at the moment.
Been a pretty good effort for this man, Jason Bright. Again, he played a different strategy game and it worked. 18th he started, he's now top 10. 10th, in fact. So by playing the long game, he made up 8 spots overall.
That was the voice of Jason Bright in the background. So the lights are out on the WPS Chrysler. It will peel off between turns 7 and 8. Jamie Whincup will have Stephen Richards looking for a way. Garth Tander, it seems, has pretty good pace at the moment. He's done a 52.4 in this race. Stephen's done a 2.6. Whincup's done a 2.7. So watch out, Tander's got speed.
Time to fly again. 25 laps remaining. So halfway through the third and final race.
Tyres just cool off fractionally, therefore the pressure goes down, so the car wriggles and moves a bit, and I think Courtney got rounded up then by Scaife. Yes, and in fact also by Lowndes. So maybe James had a slide or missed a gear. Brakes also cool out, and that can have a dramatic effect on their performance.
So that'll put Scaife into 4th position. Correction, 5th position.
This is Lowndes looking either side of Mark Scaife at the moment, turn 7.
Yeah, guys, not good news for James Courtney. Simply missed a gear and it cost him 2 spots.
If we can see him block and let us know if he does it again.
Well, there's already been a precedent set this weekend for blocking. Marcus Marshall got a bad sportsmanship flag. And all eyes will be watching these fellas at the moment. What the race control's looking for is drivers on the race line, not defending too aggressively too soon. 0.5 of a second is the margin between Whincup and Stephen Richards. Winterbottom's 8th. Remember the extra pause for him in the pit lane because both cars from Ford Performance Racing arriving at once.
What does it mean in the chase for the championship? As they stand right now, if this is how it finished this race, this is how it ended up. Garth Tander, when he started this race, he had a 17-point lead over Jamie Whincup. It is now only 10 points. Craig Lowndes 32 points adrift. And Rick Kelly will not better any more than 5:21 by the end of this round.
Tander looked pretty racy at the start, or at the restart, but he just lost a little bit of ground on that lap. Let's watch and have a listen to Tander as he tries to hunt down the two lead Fords. It's a very busy racetrack. 260 kilometres an hour into a headwind down the back straight. It's a lap of Simmons Plains. It's all over pretty quickly around here. 2,400 metres of racetrack, and the warning to Garth Tander, there's a bit of debris at 6 and 7 and also down at 1 and 2. And here's why. John Bowe, Shane Van Gisbergen, so that's brought some gravel up onto the road.
Oldest man in the field, youngest guy in the field. Coming together, Steve Owen's Autobahn entry has been parked. Tell you who's doing a good job out there is Jason Richards in 4th position. You'll see him coming down here. There's a little bit of a gap between Tander, and that's where we find Richards. Car number 3, he's got Scaife on him at the moment. He qualified 14th, turned that into a 10th in race 1, turned that into a 7th in race 2, and now he's up to 4th.
It's been a good, strong recovery for these guys. They had a frustrating practice run on Friday. Millimetre by millimetre, the Rockstar cars have been gaining ground, but of course for Greg Murphy, he's copped a couple of whacks. There's the reason why Steve Owen is parked in the garage. You can see him coasting off the edge of the track, and there was already damage to the car by the time we saw it, and the Autobahn entry's been since parked. Murphy turned around a couple of times up the hairpin, spoilt what's been some improved pace in that car, but Jason Richards doing a good job at the moment. The second of the holds, but a good 100 metres behind Garth Tander, who's still under the rear bumper of Steve Richards.
Garth just announced himself well and truly there to turn 5.
Asking a lot of the brakes. Really having to push hard under the back of that vehicle at the moment, and the danger there is the temperatures grow due to the proximity to the preceding cars.
That's the split between Tander and Richards, 3rd and 4th, over the course of the last 4 laps. Interesting to see the difference between Whincup and Stephen Richards, positions 1 and 2, because they're trading equal times. The gap is 0.4 of a second between 1st and 2nd. Mark Scaife in 5th, has Jason Richards in front of him, Craig Lowndes behind him. There you go, there's the split. Virtually nothing in it the whole way.
Split to the first sector, 18.2 for Whincup, 18.19 for Richards and 18.2 for Tander. There's nothing in it, literally. They are locked at the same speed at the moment. So it'll be the first man to blink. Grabbing 4th gear a little earlier, just short shifting to try and not excite the car into too much oversteer through the turn 8 left-hander. It's the right rear tyre that takes the punishment around this track.
You know, you were so spot on earlier when you said that FPR
Keep the pressure up, mate.
have been the meat and the sandwich all weekend, and here they are again, Stephen Richards in between 2 guys that are fighting for the championship. Richards showing great pace, under attack from Tander, who wants to round him up so desperately.
And for Stephen Richards, a win is just as important. He's had a race win this year.
He's been on the podium overall for the rounds a few times this year.
But if he can grab one here, he will. You can absolutely guarantee it. Watch the wheel work here of Tander. We looked out at the screen before. You get an indication of the behaviour of the car here. Fresh clutch and gearbox in this car. Second gear, turning in. Quite big steering angles at turn 3. A little bit of oversteer just on the gear shift, third to fourth, beneath the Falcon Bridge. Blue light on the left side of the steering wheel indicates he's got his lights on. You see him cycling the clutch there, carrying brake pressure, turning into the corner with the brake on, carrying the brake to the corner, then flat shifting, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. This is fifth. Sixth, when the shift light illuminates in front of him, it goes in stages. And back to third gear. That was the one that he got wrong. I talked before about him wrong slotting. That was where he accidentally grabbed first in race 2. Not a lot of wheel work required. It's a very stable car underneath Garth Tander at the moment.
Bargwanna into the wall at 5.
That'll be a safety car. And Alan Gurr
Okay
involved.
there, Barks? Safety car boards and flags. Safety car. Get up the rear and in the fence, but yeah.
All had a unit build today, the boys. When things go wrong, they've got a tongue-in-cheek approach. Oh dear.
We've got to hurry along big time.
Yeah, I think Alan's just locked the brakes there, and after that, there wasn't much anybody could do. But it's ended up being a costly mistake for Jason Bargwanna and ending a run of strong results for him.
That WPS car didn't need another dent in it. Already had a big one in the front. And
another WPS car out.
That's right. You're getting their money's worth. Jamie Whincup has been having a pretty good battle with Stephen Richards. The last time around, it was 0.4 of a second. So obviously, it's going to be squeezed up again.
Still got the engine running, has it? Sounded like it.
Looks a bit like Darth Vader, doesn't it?
Whincup, little reprieve, stop and think about it. Maybe a tiny adjustment on the brake bias, maybe a tiny adjustment on one of the anti-roll bars. They're all concentrating on making sure that they've got tyre temperature and pressure here. Craig Lowndes, can you hear us?
I can only just hear you, Cromley. You're coming in crackly.
Okay, mate, we'll talk to you in just a moment.
Hello, Craig. Can you hear us? Matty White here. He's in that ugly part of the circuit.
Craig Lowndes, Channel 7, can you hear us?
Hello, Cromley. Now I can.
How are you, brother?
Yeah, not too bad.
Now, listen, I could use a neck massage again if that's okay. Have you got time?
Yeah, that'd be nice. It's no, it's sort of it's a long drawn out race, this one around here. We just trying to put a bit of pressure on my old mate Scapey.
We saw that you had a bit of aggravation with Jason Richards up at turn 7. What was your read on that?
Well, I lost him in my left-hand mirror, so I was tagged at the back corner, and I'm sure they'll have a look at it by the end of the race.
What's the brake and tyre condition like at the moment, Craig?
Actually, not too bad. The car is handling really well. Just this circuit's all about track position, so you just got to get in front of everyone, and then you should be right.
Appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us from the team Vodafone Ford. Thanks, mate. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks to Craig Lowndes. Got his hand full because he's got Scaife in front of him, Courtney behind him. Courtney showing good pace, and I mentioned a couple of times that Mark Scaife's having a really good weekend, really solid weekend.
Mark Scaife, but he would want, knowing Mark Scaife would want to be absolutely in the teeth of this battle at the moment. They've got Jason's car out from the gravel at turn 5, so that's good. Looks a little worse for wear. There'll be a bit of gravel on the exit for all the cars to avoid, and safety car will pull off very shortly and we'll get underway once more.
You know what that chat does too? It gives you a graphic illustration of just how noisy and hard and tough and rough these things are. And remember, this is the end of a very long weekend for these guys, especially guys like Lowndes, Whincup, Tander and Rick Kelly, because they've got that added pressure of trying to stay in the title race. So around about now, with 14 laps remaining, they'd really be starting to feel it. Off we go. Whincup got away very well off the restart. And Tander finds himself putting a lot of pressure on Stephen Richards, who's really under attack. Got a bit squirmy into turn 2.
Tander had a little run on him there coming out of 3. Did he get an extra kilometre an hour or 2 on the corner exit? He's looking up on the outside here at turn 5. Oh, and Whincup has run wide down there at 5, and that's given Richo some incentive too. Jamie didn't pull it up. Little loss of brake performance and perhaps a little loss of tyre grip when they cooled out during the safety car, and Tander lost some ground in all that.
So all 3 getting a nervous restart. Tell you what, Whincup saved it though. He just had enough power to pull it back out in front of Stephen Richards. Around for that first flying lap, it was a 53.6 for Whincup, a 53.5 for Stephen Richards.
Look how high Jamie was. He was right up at the corner. That's the reason why Tander was battling there, because Jason Richards made contact. I wondered why he dropped back so far, and how close was Whincup to bowling a wide. Oh, Tander down the inside, side by side. They're all fumbling. This will give Jason Richards a run on Tander and Scaife. Tander's going to drop 3 spots as a result of that. Lowndes goes by as well.
And possibly Courtney.
Still unsafe, bring it in.
Oh, there's damage. There's damage. It's got steering damage on it. He can't steer the car. He's off the road. Oh no, this is bad.
Incredible. The championship leader with major damage to his car is now a passenger, and he's out of race 3.
That really frightened me, because when a car crosses the road in the path of others.
Put your blocks under the front and let's have a quick look, okay?
Rob Crawford, oh no, more trouble at turn 7.
Involving 4 cars. HRT, Jack Daniels.
I think it's Todd Kelly.
Super Cheap Auto Team, Team
Safety
BOC.
car, mate. Safety car again, safety car.
And there's another car involved in that as well.
Copy, Mark. Keep you cool, buddy.
Owen Kelly's in there.
Owen Kelly, can't pick which of the Team BOC cars it is. Obviously Shane Price and Paul Dumbrell.
Be careful.
And they can't, there's Garth, he can't get it down the lane, it won't steer. Gee, I was seriously worried.
Just sit there, mate. Wait till they push you out the way.
Seriously worried for Tander at the end of the back straight.
The crew down there with Gojak to get the car back, please.
Look at this, you're kidding.
Make sure everyone has helmets on. Helmets.
Stop under the boom, mate, so then we can slide the Gojaks under at the turner.
And I'll tell you why he's furious. Because right now the championship picture looks like this. Jamie Whincup is the leader of the championship on 569. Tander slots back to 2nd and Lowndes is 3rd. That moment there that we just saw, all that madness, has cost Garth Tander the lead in the title race.
He is going to be filthy with himself.
There was 2 taps involved in that turn 5 incident.
Some of the Brightech guys lending a hand there as well. Here it is again in replay.
Here's the first one. So there's contact there at the rear.
That's where the steering damage was done though. And then the second one.
And by now he's out of it.
See the left front wheel's already got a pile of steering angle on it. And how he didn't end up nailing half the field down here is an absolute miracle. I just held my breath. I really seriously thought there was going to be a monstrous crash down there, and it would not be a good thing for him to T-bone someone in that manner. I mean, fortunately, this is all horrible news for his championship, but he's got through there without being hurt or hurting others.
Just leave it there in a safe position and...
Look at this. This is a psycho moment.
Shades of his teammate at Bathurst.
He was on the radio talking, and that's when all of a sudden he abruptly stopped. He knew he was in trouble.
So this will unfold the other incident. Shane Price goes through. Now he gets a little bit of contact with, that's Marcus Marshall. So that wasn't the one involving Price and Co. So Marcus Marshall got a little tap on the re-entry with Greg Murphy, who's been a bit of a battering ram across the last 2 races. Well, Murph hasn't had any luck, and Toll HSV in race 3 in particular now have both cars out of the race. It's just been extreme the whole way for these 4 guys.
And think about it in terms of team, because Rick's already out with an engine failure.
I don't know what to make of all that.
It's just amazing sequence. You keep on saying that, you know, having, you know, with an understanding of that bit of the road, knowing how fast you're going when you leave the road down there, to have managed to accidentally steer through that hole between the traffic at turn 7 is nothing short of a miracle. This is
the other incident involving
the other
Todd
incident
Kelly.
of all the nonsense where there was a bunch of cars stuck, interlocked down at turn 7.
Still no clearer on that one, but there's 5 cars involved in that. Just bizarre. You know what, if you're Jamie Whincup, you're thinking, probably halfway through Bahrain, you're thinking, this couldn't go any worse. The world's about to end, and so is my championship hopes. And now those thoughts belong in this garage.
What can you say?
But it was very clear what happened to Garth Tander, and he's returned back to the Toll HSV garage totally and utterly despondent. Just a couple of weeks ago in Bahrain, it was Jamie Whincup finding all the bad luck. This is the view from Mark Scaife's car.
And it doesn't fully reveal exactly what's happened down here, although you can see that they were blinded as they went down there, and there's a whole pile of cars off the road. Owen Kelly's one of them. Not sure which of the Team BOC cars. Paul Dumbrell, Shane Price.
Pretty sure it was Simon Wills probably, because Andrew Jones had already had those dramas. So Simon looked as though he was crunched in the middle. Everybody's out of the car and okay. They've got Shane Price's car on the back of the truck. There it is. Looking just a touch worse for wear.
Massive amount of damage. And it's very short turnaround between the final race. Safety car lights are now being switched off, and so we're ready to go motor racing once again. Whincup, Stephen and Jason Richards. Escape. Lowndes, Courtney, Winterbottom, Johnson, Bright, Canto, and Paul Morris just outside the top 10. Good recovery after the brake duct and brake overheating problem for race 1.
Right, hold your breath. 8 laps to go. Jamie Whincup leads us. Stephen Richards is second. Jason Richards is third. Scaife fourth. 5th is Craig Lowndes.
Craig looking all around the back of Mark Scaife there on the restart. Here he is. It's the run up to turn 5, the hairpin. He'll be trying to sneak down the inside here. Courtney and Winterbottom hooked in behind as well. Car number 26, black flag, pit lane drive-through penalty, and that's Alan Gurr for his involvement with the Jason Bargwanna incident at turn 5.
A lot of dirt and junk on the road at that part of the circuit. gap at the front is half a second between Whincup and Stephen Richards.
Incidentally, if you thought that we were going to be able to have a chat with Garth Tander, wrong. He's gone to the transporter and no doubt wants to just pause and reflect. He's very, very disappointed.
You know what, no matter who you're rooting for in the championship or no matter which side of the supercar fence that you sit on, you just got to feel sorry for these guys. They've just absolutely copped it. And the amount of work that not only they but the teams put in, it's just heartbreaking when it happens. It happened to this guy last round. But this time around, it's all smiles for Jamie Whincup.
He's got a little margin, 2.6 of a second over Stephen Richards. Has it calmed down?
And Neil, while Garth is in the back of the transporter with his wife Leanne, who was almost inconsolable during that off. His teammate, conversely, has hopped over the fence at the end of the hairpin and is standing watching the race with the race van, signing autographs, and I think he may even be partaking in some sort of liquid form of refreshment.
Probably all he can do. Might as well have a drink and relax. These fellas are not doing that though. 0.6 of a second Whincup to Stephen Richards, and Jason Richards continues to march. Great speed out of that car late in the weekend, the Rockstar Tasman Motorsport entry. We know that we've got a huge fan base in New Zealand. Jace is a Kiwi. New venue for 2008 down at Hamilton. Everybody looking forward to going back to New Zealand for that one.
Also looking forward a year later to heading to Townsville for a street race in northern Queensland.
Almost equal distance between each of the top runners at the moment. Whincup, Richards, Scaife, Lowndes, Courtney, Winterbottom. Then it's Johnson and Bright. Canto is in the 10 with Morris just outside, followed by Holdsworth. Sixth for James Courtney. You would not have thought that could be possible after the shocking practice and qualifying run that they had. And then having a drive-through penalty for the contact with Shane Price yesterday. But well and truly on it now. Recovering from that and getting some valuable points.
Mark Winterbottom 7th. And if he holds on to that position, he's looking for a podium finish at the end of the day.
Interesting to see team boss Rob Crawford, who moments ago was an extremely upset and disappointed man, is now back on the wall having a close look at this race, just watching the competition. I don't think he thinks it's all over just yet.
A way of unwinding and just watching a good motor race. There's certainly nothing between these key runners at the moment, and he'll be particularly interested to see how both the Triple 8 entries fare. You know, whilst they'll be down. Whilst they'll be down in the mouth, it's not over. We go to Phillip Island with very little covering the top runners. And based on what's happened in recent rounds, there's no way known you'd predict the outcome of the 3 sprint races at Phillip Island in 2 weeks. Next time across the start-finish line, it's 1 to go. Ooh, James nearly bowled her wide at turn 7. Winterbottom had to have come out of the throttle substantially not to end up in his rear bumper.
You come into these rounds, you look at the form guide coming in, you try and see who's on a roll and who's not. Out of the 4 guys in the championship, Jamie Whincup had the worst record here and the worst one coming off Bahrain. Hasn't he turned that around? Victory in race 2. And he's going to do it again in race 3. He will win the overall round. It's his second overall round victory of the year. Added, of course, to the 2 Enduros that he paired up with Craig Lowndes. But this is the one that really matters because it's worth so much more. This one is worth the championship lead for Jamie
Nice work,
Whincup.
Jamie. Nice work, mate.
Great work, fellas. Another awesome stop. I owe to you, bloke. Unbelievable. Excellent.
He sends it straight back to Team Vodafone.
Please custom, mate.
Copy that.
Stephen Richards second, Jason Richards third there in race 3. Mark Scaife fourth. Overall for the round, it's Whincup, Stephen Richards and Mark Winterbottom. Yet another fascinating reversal of fortunes for those hunting for this title.
Yeah, nice work, Jamie Whincup and his crew. Huge recovery from, they got the wobbles up at Indy and then they had a disaster in Bahrain. Bounced back with a bunch of points and some great driving, good strategy, great pit stops this weekend. Here's a great recovery story as well for Jason Richards, confirming those placings for you. And look how tight that margin was at the end.
Mark Scaife finishes fourth for race 3, finished fourth in race 2, and he'll finish the overall round in that position as well. The points go down to 15th. Greg Murphy really had it tough this weekend over the last 2 races.